Hello, world, and welcome to our live stream. I'm Aaron.
I'm Garrett.
And tonight we're going to be talking with Jake Twister and Peter Seckler all about Indie Volt Revolt live on Indiegogo.
Wait, before we do anything, I have to say, hi, Peter!
Oh my goodness, it's Peter Palmiotti up in here.
Hey, look at that guy.
How's it going, my man? Good to see you.
We got two Peters, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And we got Frank, Mr. Salazar Art Nation. And Mr. Burns.
These traitors back in the
yeah. It's been said that all of the Peters are actually the same. We're all the same. We're just like, I'm from Earth C. Peter Palmiotti is from 616. Peter Samedi from the Alterniverse.
Peter's on Infinite Earths.
The Alterniverse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'd be the Council of Peters.
Yeah.
Like
we'll have rings, and
power rings. By your powers combined, we are the ultimate Peter. That sounds a little weird. All right, guys. So how are you doing tonight? Are you happy to be here? I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely.
Why don't you, before we get into the book, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
So Jake,
I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
So let me go. All right. Well, my name is Peter Seckler. I have only been doing comics a short while since. In fact, I can tell you the day I started, which was I can actually pinpoint down to the exact day, but it's August 2019. I saw a video on the YouTubes. I've always been a drawer, and I saw this video. It was how to make a mini comic, and I was like, "Oh, this seems like a fun thing to do." I started making comics that day, and then I started tracking progress. I started with mini comics. I worked my way up to sort of ash cans, little 8-page ash cans. And then I did my first 16-page story. And then on the Discord, there were a lot of people that were like, some of them were legit comics makers, but a lot of them were sort of like, fantasy football comics makers. They had a logo and a website, but they didn't make any comics really. So I was like, we could just publish this stuff. Because I knew from role-playing games how to publish. And so I convinced everyone to sort of put together an anthology. And now we're on, I think, our fourth one.
Quick time out. I'm going to interject. So you're a role-playing guy, like tabletop games?
Yeah.
My people.
There we go.
You said the magic word.
Which one?
That can go either way, too. It's like, Peter's thing is gone. He's kicked out. He's out of the thing.
Give me your top 3 favorite role players.
Kidding.
And then that'll be it. We'll move on back to the comics.
Top 3 favorite role players. I don't have any favorite role players. I don't know. I mean, a designer certainly.
Well, I mean, I don't mean the gamers themselves. I mean the games. Like
the games. Okay, definitely.
Games.
Well, AD&D
and they don't even have to be
first edition.
Games. They can be top 3 like tabletop games.
You don't want to list Matt Mercer. Come on.
No, I'm not talking about people.
I have some opinions on Matt Mercer that we shouldn't share. But,
Matt Mercer, I could take him or leave him. To be perfectly honest.
We're gonna have a good time tonight.
He's ruining role-playing games. All right, but anyway. AD&D first edition, definitely up there. I also like Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I also like the very oldest versions of D&D. Like, if it's not just the OD&D, maybe like the proto basic D&D Cyclopedia era. Those are I like the old school stuff.
So you like an old school Renaissance kind of guy?
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha.
I think that comics needs an old school Renaissance. That's in fact, I want to bring those sensibilities to comics.
Get back to basics. I guess maybe that's why Matt's not doing. I don't know. You know what? I don't know what your opinions are, but I think you're right about comic books. We need a new Renaissance in comics. Jake.
It should be a simpler time of fun comics. That's what I'm hoping for.
Do you play any role-playing games, Jake? Are you a nerd?
Yeah, I do. I play Shadow of the Demon Lord.
That is a
enough.
European one. Yeah,
We were talking about that one time.
the
Actually,
Schwarze Eye. Do you know the Schwarze Aga? Do you know that one?
No.
Okay, that's the German one.
Speaking
I'm
of
like really
European,
limited.
I just
you got a good one.
this past fall I picked up a game called Morkborg. Which I think is from Stockholm, like Sweden. There's a studio there that made it. And it's totally like an old school Renaissance thing. But the book is beautiful. Every page of it is like a graphic designer's like wet dream. It's
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah. I would love to check. That's where my artistic sensibilities really come from, is role-playing games and stuff like that. Because there's always been art, kind of, and always, sort of amateur art in those books, But to it reached to a pinnacle, as they got more and more popular, and now they're like full-on paintings in every book. But at one time,
say hi to Lucifer Storm. Thanks for joining us, my friend. And Hockey's up in the house, so it's good to see you.
Good day, good day.
I guess so you're a role player. Jake's a role player. You like comics.
No, I'm a very surface level player. Okay, let's just
surface level. Okay, so you're a fake.
Yeah,
I'm not deep.
We're all men of many interests. We have many interests.
I'm just teasing.
I like these guys. Stop.
I like them. Don't scare them away. All right.
Aaron likes him too. That's why he's giving them a hard time.
It's like I give you crap all the time.
The meaner he is, the more he likes you.
The more polite I am, the more I don't know you.
Yeah.
So, when did you get into comics? I know, Pete. You're probably old, or young.
I'm old.
So when did you get into
I'm
comics?
old. I won't tell you what decade I was born, but in the 70s. that's really when I really kind of got into comics. I was really into like Legion of Superheroes and kind of 70s Marvel, and carried on through the 80s. The first time I got a subscription to a comic, once again, it's one of those where the exact comic you got, and it was the one Avengers comic where all I remember is Wonder Man and the Vision were in it, and Wonder Man knocks down this adamantium barricade. George Perez did the art. I memorized every panel of that stupid comic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Jake? When did you get into comics?
When I got into comics, I probably picked up a book about 5 years, probably 4, younger. I don't remember. I come from Donald Duck country, so it's probably like I'm one of the last vestiges of that generation that really grew up with Donald Duck as a comic. Since it's just like been a downhill ever since like 2006. But I think I started getting into like Donald Duck and Calvin and Hobbes.
I love
around that age.
I'm gonna move you.
And those have been very, very like foundational into what I went into comics. Then I started to like expand when I got around like 10, 11. I started to read ElfQuest, translated.
Yeah.
And I was a huge dedicated Wolf Rider around that time. It was like the soul comic until manga hit the shelves, translated, of course, because I couldn't. I didn't grow up with the internet. I was living like in the far back of the neck of the woods. You couldn't even find me if you wanted to on the GPS. So it was me. It was the television, Saturday morning cartoons and all that stuff, and my imagination. So I, instead of not only reading comics, I also wanted to like live in that world. So I went out in the woods and like played around, and just like facilitated wanted me to have more of like creative, like a creative like play with it, but primarily by myself because I didn't have any friends and all that stuff.
Trigger's a girl. Hockey has a question. What is the character prompt today?
I'm going to know what character.
Oh, Garrett is still putting
yeah.
finishing touches on Mother.
Yeah, today I'm not. Yeah, this is actually just one of our characters from the comic book. So I'm kind of just doing like a cool pinup of her right now. I'm honestly I'm probably doing too much on her face. I should be helping the entire composition resolve before I get too into the nitty gritty.
but I love looking at her. So,
but I'm having fun noodling on the face, and that's
we'll tell you guys, surprised for those of you on the stream, because like you guys deserve being here as our audience to know something. We are gathering all of these pieces of art that Garrett's doing of the main character as reference material for someone who's going to be cosplaying her. So I'm thoroughly excited about that, about having a cosplayer portray Mother in the love her shirt. Yep, it's flesh tone.
I did throw a sketch of Mother up earlier, like a promo material.
Did you really?
Oh, I think I actually saw that while I was scrolling. I didn't have a whole lot of time today to do Twitter.
Yeah,
I made one massive.
By the way, can I also say thank you so much? So like I do all the thumbnails for our show, and sometimes it's tough because I'm just like pulling JPEGs offline and usually cleaning them up, and I'm real lazy about that. You guys gave me awesome PNGs that were so beautifully done and packaged, and it was just like click and drop. And
Jake doing the transparent background made
I also I love the cartooning. It was awesome, dude.
Yeah, I should have probably made my forehead a little bit bigger, but fuck it. I prefer that way, like that stretch, sort of like in the eyes, and then you have like two little dots. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
very well done. I mean, like it has just a ton of character to it. Oh hell yeah!
Sounds like solid bullshit to me. Yeah, I agree.
That's fantastic.
Yep. That's gonna go in the comment. That's it. You're in. You're taking your line, putting it in the book. Just straight up. Sounds like solid bullshit to me. I'm writing it down.
Oh, you're too kind. Let me clean that up though before we print that.
Oh no, I'm just talking about the line.
No, I think the sketch scene.
I mean, you can throw that in art.
Yeah,
in the art book that we've got. Yeah, sure. Yep.
But our first bit of fan art.
That's going to be actual dialogue, Jake. I'm making that dialogue.
That's our first fan art.
That is our first fan art. Man, thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Oh, my
so
pleasure.
yeah, we're talking about all our stuff. Why don't we get back to talk about your stuff? Do you guys have a prefer? Okay, we want to talk about the AAA creators community, which I really have to.
Peter, you can pick anywhere. Come on. I don't want to be alone.
We could go over any bit of it. So it started out with the AAA is not the Indie Volt Revolt, by the way. It's kind of funny that we both ended up with Volt in the name. So they're actually two different kind of groups there. And Jake,
it's interesting because it's kind of like a synthesis of the two. You've got
there's a lot of crossover
group, and you got the AAA creators community group. So now you've got like Indie Volt going on, Revolt.
Yep.
So I like that.
Yep. So, and we're really here to talk about Revolt, but just to explain where we came from, we started doing this 9 Volt anthology, and this is all sort of anyone from rank beginner. So, the philosophy is that no matter where you are in your art, journey, you can put together a comic. You can learn, enough steps to get to where there's a comic. It may not be the greatest, most artistically pleasing one, but you can get to a point where it's publishable and where people can read it, and a lot of times people have some pretty funny stuff that they can do. And then Jake invited me over to the Indie Volt, one of the Indie Volt shows, and they have like 6 or 7 shows or something like that. So it's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
My favorite is the Sunday morning one, the Sunday Funnies. But there's he invited me to one of the nighttime ones, and I was just really enchanted by the group, and so I became kind of a regular over there and kind of hung out. And when they announced that book, I wrote to the one of the hosts there, Randy, and said, hey, can I submit something? And he said, sure. And so I sent something in. Jake also sent in. He can talk about it, but one of the things that one of the characters he developed for the holiday book, he did a second story, another story with the same character, and
Tired Ted.
Yeah, Tired Ted, the detective character, is now in 2 books. Yeah, so he's
fantastic
cool.
looking.
Absolutely. And they're Randy Zimmerman over there is in the process of restarting up Arrow Comics, which he's had like 2 or 3. I think this is Arrow Comics 4.0. Like
it's 4.0 now.
He's had this comics company and shut it down and opened it up and shut it down many times over decades. So this is the 4th instantiation. And he asked me, I turned in a story with a robot based on Gigantor. It's called Super Robot Iron Jack. And he goes, hey, I've got this other robot character. Would you like to do a story for him? And I sent him a proposal, and he took that character. So I've been doing that comic. The Indie Volt Revolt, I'm probably the least creator in there. There's so many good people. Russ Leash has got a story in there, and I believe a cover.
Yeah, he's doing a cover too, right?
Yeah, he's doing a cover. And Daphne Lage, Jake's in there. There's a lot of people. It's going to be so great. Marv, the Sin Eater or Sin Killer. Sin Killer, and so there's a lot of good stories in this Indie Volt Revolt book, and pretty inexpensive. I mean, I was looking at the crowdfunder for it, and it's pretty affordable. Yeah, there it is.
So they're cool letting you use the name and logo of the YouTube channel group on the book.
I haven't actually asked for permission, so.
Yeah, okay. We're on the book. We should be able to.
I mean, you've been on the show so many times that it's probably okay. I don't think Varian's gonna come at you sideways and be like, "Oh yeah, you're giving me 5 cents off every book now."
Better to ask forgiveness, right?
Right. But I was gonna say, so like one of the questions I had was, how are you affiliated with the channel? You pretty much summed that up. You just kind of became regulars, and
I'm just a regular in the chat. I like to go on the chat and make jokes. That's my thing. But
that's
Jake's actually been on a bunch of times. Yeah, Jake's actually been on there a couple of times.
I think I've kind of like 10 at least, 10 or 15. It's been usually those like holiday thingies, like New Year's Eve and Turkey Day and all that stuff. So
yeah, they actually have a special stinger for when Jake says something outrageous that they'll play in the video. And it's a shit that Jake said, the hashtag. So
we gotta get one of those.
You gotta get one of them.
Yeah, you probably love the energy there, but it's nighttime run, and I recommend that if you want to get like into Indie Volt Revolt, you got to check out Breakfast Bus because they'll be up there at like 8 or 9 o'clock. Yeah. I'm there usually because it's afternoon for me, so it's just like a good time to appear and just like harass the shit out of the whole panel whenever possible.
Sunday Funnies is more like it's kind of an old school show. Like they actually had they've had some really cool interviews on the Sunday morning show. One of them with it slipped my mind now. The lady who designed the Vampirella costume.
Oh yeah.
Oh no kidding.
Yeah, and then they've had some really good stuff on Sunday mornings. Some of the most obscure comics I've ever seen. Jake has a copy of. Not Jake. Randy's got a copy of. Maybe Jake does too. I don't know. And we'll show it. So there's been some really cool stuff on the Sunday morning show. They got John Celestri shows up pretty regular. He's in the book too. If you know who John Celestri is, the guy who animated Dragon's Lair. You remember that old 80s video game?
Yeah, he also did Mighty Moose and
Mighty Moose.
Zoe
and Space whatever.
Space Ace.
Space Ace.
Animator
There you
for
go.
Rock and Rule.
Yeah, he did Batman animated.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rock and Rule.
And the Boba Fett
for the Bakshi studio.
He's one of the creators, the very first creators that we did on featured on the Frequency. We had him, John Celestri. We had Randy Siplon, and I can't remember the third. It was probably someone from the AAA community, actually.
Dave England?
It might have been Marsh.
Oh, it was the Berserker guy. Berserkernaut. Thank you.
Yes. Berserkernaut. Lafferty.
Yeah, Lafferty.
Yeah.
It was good stuff. Yeah, that was a fun episode. The very first one is quite evident. I did not know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing.
We just make things up as we go along.
Yeah. Trina Robbins. Vampirella. Was that the one?
Trina Robbins, that's
Trina
right.
Robbins.
They had an incredible interview with Trina Robbins that was on there, and that was really good. because I saw her in the Crumb movie, and she seemed like of a different generation when I saw her on that movie, and then that was 30 years ago, so she's still around. And by the way, she's like, yeah, if anybody else wants me to be on their show, just hit me up on Facebook, So she's pretty accessible, I guess. Yeah, and she had all kinds of cool stories,
I can imagine, just been in the business for a while, been around a lot of cool people. Yep. Sure, she's got some interesting gossip. So do you guys want to look at the campaign, or do you want to just keep talking about fun stuff?
Yeah, so we haven't probably explained the Indie Volt, how it came to be. In a sense.
What is it? It's an anthology that I'm aware of. Yeah.
So Indie Volt Radio had as Randy wanted to create and restart Arrow Comics, he thought of wanting to have the radio guests and all that featuring in an anthology in black and white, as God intended. But what he wanted was to collect a pool of regulars.
Thank you, Lucifer Storm.
I can't see anything because my glasses are all fogged up right now. So
he said, "Don't forget to like and subscribe because we're criminally undersubbed." I'm sure he's talking about you, not us. But
totally true.
We do really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah,
the goggles.
So we're trying to grow a following.
So he had been mulling with that whole idea during the Corona pandemic. Wait, is the 10-minute mark over? I think so. Yeah, that would be probably.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes in.
Okay, so he wanted with Variant to create this anthology, and certain creators were contacted in the back behind the scenes and all that stuff, just to see if it could pique their interest and all that. That's how I got my invitation, at least. And I have been in the known about it for a month before they actually announced it. So I didn't really understand that it could be done in the way of crowdfunding, but especially with print on demand that way. I've had limited experiences when it comes to publishing comics. I know how to analyze them and create them in a sense, but I never had made the big jump aside from having Peter wrangling me around with Lulu.com. It's a different experience altogether, although that I have my preconceived biases and oppositions when it comes to crowdfunding in of itself.
So who's in charge then?
Well, for Indie Volt, it's hard to say because Varian is kind of the business owner of, and he owns a lot of the infrastructure, we would say. He pays for a lot of stuff. He actually owns a distribution company called Liberty Entertainment Group, LEDG.US, and he distributes comics, indie comics. And all these guys, I'd say all of them, most of these guys are Michigan based. They're all in this one area. And then Daphne's in New York. So Varian, Grant, Randy Zimmerman, who else is in Michigan? There's a couple other people that are in Michigan there that pop in from time to time that seem like they're
Eric
just in that area.
Dreaded Dinosaur Man, isn't he?
Dreaded Dinosaur Man, another.
He's
guy.
got it came from Webtoon show, right?
Yeah,
right. Which is another Indie Volt show.
A couple times. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a whole
show.
network. It's almost
that's a good show. It's Go ahead.
No, I was trying to remember what's the they went independent. Isn't it it was I can't talk. It was a group, a broadcasting group that was independent that just hosted a whole bunch of different shows. And that's what Critical Role came out of. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So when you say Critical Role,
it's thank you.
Sorry, I was typing and I only heard the back
it's
half of it.
Indie Volt reminds me of Geek and Sundry because they've got a whole bunch of different shows underneath one umbrella. There's a central infrastructure kind of run by people who know what they're doing and are familiar with that, kind of running a business. And you've got these breakout things where everyone's kind of in charge of their own little broadcast spot. I've noticed Dreaded Dinosaurs, it came from Webtoon, is also in need of viewers. And it's an interesting show because it talks about one of the big questions that I always have, which is why aren't we doing web comics and webtoons? So it looks at the crossover there, and I really like that. What's up?
So we've been encouraging that too over at the AAA. It's like, why not try out webtoons? Why not try out this? I don't know if you've caught the Kelsey. I think it's the Storytellers, Kelsey Grammer and not Kelsey Grammer, Kelsey Shannon, Kelsey Grammer, Kelsey Shannon, and
there's a name I haven't heard in a while, right?
I was gonna say, don't worry about messing up names because that's like Aaron's.
That's
shtick.
my thing, dude.
That's your
I
thing.
can't keep Billy Tucci and Stanley Tucci straight.
Hey, I'm feeling like at home.
Peter Palmiotti, Jimmy Palmiotti. They're the same person.
Right. From alternate universe, Jimmy Palmiotti's from Earth, whatever the DC universe is. Right?
Did you see Peter's comment before? Pete and repeat. Oh
That was
man, it was
great.
good.
Oh,
It was killer.
Well done.
Ichtha says, so what's Indie Volt and the mission statement? So I guess we need a little bit of clarification of what Indie Volt itself is, because it isn't actually Geek and Zunder.
He's trying to actually quiz us. He knows the answer. Strive for quality and deliver with efficiency, something like that. But there's a lot of
They need a new motto.
There's a lot of mottos. There's a lot of mottos going into that show, and there's a lot of sayings. But their mission statement is to bring comics people who are interested together, whether you're a reader or if you're a creator, and you want to discuss the medium. They do like cross-platform streams.
You want to go on this
they
show?
do have like Twitch.
Book us a spot.
They do have Facebook, and they
down
do
to
have
go on at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All right, I'll reach out. See if we can
So-
get you on their show.
They are super cool. The thing is, you've met a lot of comics fans. I've met a lot of comics fans. I've never been a single comics fan who didn't secretly want to also make a comic. And, so here we are all out trying to make comics, but then now you got to convince people to like your comics. So you start out, this is my comic. I don't I don't want anyone else to see my comic, but I want everyone to see it. So you gotta make these kind of network connections. Indie Volt's great because it's the core of a network of creators that is mutually appreciative, that is mutually supportive. The shows are funny. The shows are hilarious. It would be great to have you guys come out and meet the Indie Volt people. And
that's the truth about any kind of indie artwork, right? And like
It's
any
true.
art form, especially indie comics, though, is that you're never actually independent by yourself. You gotta reach out. You gotta make friends. You gotta share with people.
Yeah, it was the Zaid brothers said it.
Oh.
We're fine.
We have a hiccup. Sorry about that.
The Zaid brothers said it most recently, but plenty of people have said it. The most important thing in creating as a creator, especially in comics, but just in general, is branching out and engaging with the community that you're a part of as a creator. So if you're making video games, connecting to other indie video game creators and then branching out from there, like being, I think it was Billy Tucci who said, stand alone together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a phenomenal motto.
And the thing is, indie comics guys,
Joey, not
we don't really compete with each other. If you like indie comics, if you're a guy that goes in and is going for the indie comics, you are just as likely to like any indie comic, that appeals to you. It's not like you're gonna I'm sorry, I'm only a first comics man. I only get the first comics. I don't buy, the comics from Valiant. You were probably going to try anything that appeals to you if you have already made that jump into the indies. And,
to be fair, I think there are people out there that want it to be very clicky. But
I
think you're right about
appreciate
that
the
too.
idea of, hey, comics are comics, and if you see something good and you want to read it, read it.
It's got to have the right vibe.
Yeah.
It's all about vibrations. It's all about frequencies.
Yeah.
So you have to have the right vibe to get along with people like that. And you're a fan of this statement. And of course, I'm speaking for you again, but steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to do something
We're frozen.
Oh, sorry
We're
about
having
that.
some issues.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. I unmuted myself.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So
I think he's coming back.
Wait. So
Here we go.
Steel, mute yourself. Thank you.
Well, I had to do
I know.
something. So
Cover for me. So, if you're trying to do something great, that'll encourage other people to do great things.
Absolutely.
And even if you're not like competing for the same market share, you are competing to improve each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
You step your stuff up, they've got to step their stuff up too to keep up with you. And things just get better
completely
and better. And that's what you want in a community. You want people that are going to push each other to get better. I mean, I don't know if you know people in the indie comics community like Michael Bancroft and Rob Replicator. They've got a rivalry going about who can get to, $40,000 US by promoting and getting their name out there and trying to do more innovative things with their individual books. But it's like the more one pushes, the other pushes back, and it's more entertaining for those of us that get the benefit of both. That's the key to any industry, is to find competitors who are compatriots.
I mean, heck, even the thing that I love is just, communicating with people and who have similar interests. I mean, you guys, for example, like,
Sure.
I mean, hell, Jake, you're over in Norway, and when would you ever get a chance to talk to somebody in Norway unless you actually reach out and start, doing this? Like, who were you talking about before the stream? The creator who works with Mike Mignola.
Yeah, Duncan Fragno.
So yeah, I would have never heard of that, and now I'm excited to, after the stream, I'm gonna go check that out, and getting more creators.
If you like more refined, what's his name, Corbin, Richard Corbin, then you probably like his stuff.
Yeah, see, and
Garrett would have never known, and I still don't know. So,
and hearing what other people are looking at, and looking at other artists, and just being in that community, it makes you better.
So the anthology, like you said, has a whole lot of people in it. How did you get the team together, if you don't mind my asking? How did you pull those artists together to make the anthology?
So for Indie Volt, I can't tell you. I think they reached out to people that they wanted to be in there. I actually wrote to Randy and said, I'd love to be in it, and here's the story. And I had like the couple of pages that I'd already done, and he said, sure, send it in. And I think he said, as long as it's not over 8 pages, I'll take a look at it, and I made it in there. How about you, Jake? How'd it work for you?
Okay, to refute that 8 pages, that was a lie, because there are comics there that are exceeded above 10 pages. I was extended the closed invitation before the open invitation came out, where everyone could submit through Randy. So the process
just
was
because Jake's better than us.
Oh, bless your heart, man.
I accept it.
See, there was 2 sides to it. It was the those that are in deep with the show, or at least well into the circle, in a sense. It's not a cabal. Don't worry about it. You could easily join if you become regular with the show too. But I was extended that beforehand in a way, and just having constant connection with these people also help. And that's sort of the main quality that I'm looking for within a healthy community, is that they are actively helping each other, not competing, not fighting, but helping and teaching. Those are the traits that I want, and I see that throughout wherever it'll be, Indie Volt, or with the AAA, or with the CG movement. Then there was the open invitation aspect. During the announcement of the anthology, people could then send in submissions or contact Randy for vetting, and then send in some samples or some work if they wanted to. I don't know how Peter did it, but it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that people had to share at least a few pages. What I heard from Randy was that Peter was just firing rapid speed ideas, 3-4 ideas before he even got vetted properly and got accepted.
I do 2 or 3 story ideas a day.
Yeah.
That I write down, and I send them to my friend The AAA guys will know him as Rocket Ship Evan, but Evan Hill, and so we trade ideas all every day over email, and he does some of the writing on some of my comics and stuff.
So Jake, we had a question from Lucifer Storm. He wanted to say, first off, you rock, which we pretty much all agree.
Yep.
You know.
How about a steal a line for that? Bless you in your cotton socks.
2, describe your work in 3 words. Ready, go.
No more, no less.
Beautiful, shit, and weird.
Beautiful, weird shit. I love it.
Okay.
And Jeremy says hi. I guess that, you'll know what that means.
And there's a 4th thing.
Also, there's a 4th thing. If you add horns to your goggles, you would look a lot like someone I know. That would be Lady Satan. Frequency Girl, drop the link.
I'm working.
I guess this
a little
worked
slow
then.
today.
Okay.
We don't have a Frog G up in this chat, so.
Jake would have to
We
take
don't
your
have
shirt off,
garlic.
though,
Oh.
to get the full Lady Satan effect.
Yeah, you would. You would also, need the fire and the 2 guns and go. Well, he's wearing the cap, so he kind of looks bald, right?
He's got to just.
What the hell are you talking about? I am bald.
Oh, he is bald. Look at that. That's freaking amazing.
I just needed the cap because
And you
I'm
catch
cold.
the replay.
Yeah, I was actually flirting with like the horn idea earlier, but I didn't want to.
So it's an engage with the community type group where you can all kind of congregate, get to know one another, and then when projects like Indie Volt Revolt come around, if you've got presence and you've got skill and you can get vetted, you can just get into the book. I gotta ask, the AAA community puts out the 9 volt at cost.
Yep.
They don't make any profit. The cost to sell the book is the cost to print the book, which I think is fantastic because it's just exposure and it's just goodwill and it just makes the community stronger. But it's like it's a gift. It's free.
Honestly, it feels like a proper like indie zine.
Yeah,
it
is. It's more like a zine, and it's to teach you how to prepare your files for print. So it's a lot of that. It's like, okay, here's a deadline. Like I said, we started out, we just had people just like, with a pretend logo and like, oh yeah. I'm like, I'm Space Age Comics. And
honestly, I get some like serious, like fun, old school, like art school vibes.
But
that's
like back in the day, like hanging out
sort
with like all my friends at school, like it's
But
awesome.
in this case, with Indie Volt Revolt, you've gone to crowdfunding. You've gone on to Indiegogo.
It's a different group, right? The Indie Volt group is more pro. That group is more pro. And
9 Volt is published directly to the customer. You go through Tallulah. I don't remember what it's called. Lulu.
No, mix them.
Aaron will just make
I'll just make stuff up. But you'll go.
We'll try to mix them.
Right, and of course, that means that you're going customer to publisher directly. This time it's through crowdfunding. Why?
Well, so the reason that Indie Volt is through crowdfunding is they really do want to sell that thing, and it's a much more pro. I mean, it's got Russ Leach in it. It's going to be good. It's got good stuff. And so
now
I think that they're going to be
like, are you getting a percentage of that, or are people just getting exposure in the book? Because
people will get a cut.
Yeah, people get a cut.
I think there is some kind of. I can't remember what it is. I think it might be
Thanks,
copies.
Frank.
I think they might give you copies or something. We won't know until the end of the campaign when they know exactly how much the printing is going to cost and what's left over or whatever else. They haven't really. It's not like there was promises made, but it has that same kind of thing. With the 9 Volt, is different. We're amateurs in the 9 Volt side, and we embrace it. And people have gotten good in 9 Volt too. That's the crazy thing in 9 Volt is some people are. Just
they have. Yeah. Look at Jake. He blew up.
Yeah. He did his first one in our holiday special.
Let's take a look at this thing. We've got fully funded 44 backers with 40 days to go.
Hey, we got 6
let's
more
run
left.
through the tiers real quick. Let's run through those tiers real quick.
Gonna scroll down a little bit. Here we go.
Yep, we got the featured tier, right? Which is, why don't you tell me about it? Do you guys know?
I know a little bit about it. So Mischievous, this is a comic that was done. I think it was Arrow Comics. It was one of Randy's characters, but Daphne Lage is known for Tall Tales. By the way, she's got another crowdfunder that I think is live right now. It might be over, but Tall Tales. And so she does these kind of furry anthropomorphic characters. And he said, hey, you should do Mischievous for this comic. And so she did. She took over that character. By the way, Randy's so old school. Like, he's worked with all these guys from back in the Black and White Revolution. Like, so he's worked with like. Let
me get a better look at this thing.
I'm trying to remember some of the guys. Like, he worked with Tim Vigil, at one point, and one of the I think it's Pinnacle Comics that they showed on Cartoonist Kayfabe when they were going through like those black and white ones. Yeah, that's Mischievous. So that's Daphne doing that one. And then Tales from the Universe, as you can see over there.
Yeah, this package here is just to clear up Randy's basement because he's sitting with a lot of stock that is over 30 years old from the old Arrow comics. So by buying into that perk, you'll get a copy of Indie Volt Revolt and a couple of floppies from like the old days.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. Okay,
I can't hear a thing. My computer. I don't know what's going on.
We were just having a couple different issues. Do you want to borrow one of my gross earbuds?
Something went wrong.
Damn, it's something.
Oh no,
Aaron's
computer is just having a hiccup.
I'm
running the microphone and the camera and all that other stuff. So
Oh, you're gone completely.
Yeah, well, I'm entering the broadcast studio now because I restarted StreamYard.
So when you get a copy of Indie Volt Revolt, he's got all these old comics, some of them dating back like 3 decades that he had printed for Arrow.
Like at least 1989.
And so you get a copy of the anthology, he's going to throw you a copy or two of something that he's got, And by the way, he did something really interesting that I don't know anybody else has ever done. You ever, like, I'm not sure what city you guys are in. Do you have something like a city paper or a city journal, one of those free city papers? You come out of the bar at 3 a.m, you're drunk as hell, and you get like a free newspaper, and it's got some stupid articles in it. All right. So after he stopped doing floppies, he started doing Flint comics in one of those newspapers. He took over a whole newspaper, and it was like a folded over broadsheets tabloid style thing, and he made it available for free in Flint, Michigan. So there were tons of comics. Yeah. So
by the way, Peter, I think we missed. Maybe I just missed it. Did where are you located?
I'm in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, okay, right on. So you're East Coast, dude.
East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're up in Connecticut.
Okay.
We're by
right outside of Hartford.
Near Peter Palmiotti.
We're pretty much 2 hours north of New York City, 2 hours south of Boston. So.
Very cool. So we're
gonna meet
all
up
on
and have
the
pizza
East Coast
someday.
at this point.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. When this
did I hear East Coast meetup?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
East Coast meetup. You're invited. We're all invited. Well, when this stupid
100%.
quarantine
Also,
situation,
Bro, like, do you know how cheap airline tickets are right now after the pandemic? Come on.
it's gonna be good times.
Connecticut's a funny state. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about it. I think nationally people are like, oh, that's where rich people live.
No.
I like the nature up in Connecticut.
There are a lot of rich people down in like Fairfield, right outside of New York City, but the entire valley in the middle of Connecticut around the river is all old mill towns, and that's where I grew up. I actually currently live in a converted mill that's now all just apartments. But one of the secrets of Connecticut is our pizza. And anybody who you talk to from Connecticut will tell you that the best pizza in the world, and New Yorkers will laugh at us for this because Aaron's an actual New Yorker.
So, all right. Look.
But no, let me finish. The best pizza is from New Haven. And so if we ever meet up here, I can bring that forward, and Eric can laugh at me and be like, all right, little Connecticut guy, I'll show you proper pizza.
At the border of Connecticut and ask for your sailboat license. Is that true, or is that just?
Again, if you're in Fairfield, maybe, but
I will concede to you this.
Okay.
All right. New York pizza is superior to all pizza on the planet. That's just given. But Hartford pizza is comparable. I will give you that.
That's fucking high praise.
It is comparable. You can actually compare New York pizza and Hartford pizza. And we're not talking about Italian pizza because that's like pizza. We're not talking about that. We're talking about pizza,
So Peter says, I'm from Brooklyn, living in Kentucky now. And I was going to say Brooklyn is where the actual best pizza in the world is from. So.
Yeah, that's true, though.
I think what it boils down to is, when anybody who has siblings, you're allowed to talk shit about your siblings. But if anybody else talks shit about your siblings, it's fucking war. I think it's how Connecticut and New York pizza maybe think about each other, right?
I'm not sure about that. That must be like an American thing, but we could we accept shit slinging from everyone. I don't take that personally with my own brother.
That's because Norwegians are just cool. that's probably the better way to do it.
We're stone cold, okay? We don't emote. That's what.
Dark half the year.
You got bigger things to worry about than just some petty shit slinging. I like that. That's a better way to be.
Well, Hockey's weighing in. Wouldn't Italy have the best pizza? No, Hockey, it would not. That would be authentic pizza. I'm not talking about pizza from Italy. That's like a cultural dish native to that country. I'm talking about that transplant, that like Americanized pizza.
Apostrophe za.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
Except not the Californian version, because that's garbage.
That's not actual pizza. That's just garbage.
We do have a discussion about what is pizza, what isn't pizza.
All right, let's time out. Let's go back to
another hour and a half just on pizza.
We need to throw in the pizza tier in this one.
I know in New York, like when you get in New York, you have like the hot water fountain. You got the hot water and the cold water. And then you got like tomato sauce, right? It's like the third in the kitchen.
Pretty much.
They set that up.
We should work together and come up with a thing for the indie book, like just like a 1 or 2 page book about like pizza fighters.
Speaking of which, I do have a story in the back burner about some a horror story about
pizza
cheese.
Fighters.
So contact me about that.
Oh, I could imagine we could have like the different states pizzas representatives show up to like, throw down with.
And lost connection again.
Sorry, okay? Mine's dead, but that's fine. Roll through the campaign while I'm not here.
No, you're back. Okay. So you're good. Okay.
I rolling through the campaign.
Nope, now I'm gone again.
No, I still hear you.
You're okay.
Good.
Oh, we can hear
Let's look at this. Let's look at this campaign before my computer explodes and I can no longer shill your book.
So if you roll through there, he's got a bunch of different tiers. There's a PDF only. There's also it's a flip book. By the way, they liked the covers so much that they did half one direction, and then you turn the book upside down to get to the other half.
That's right.
Half of the book is flipped upside down, so you get
so
two
half the story is 2 upside down.
Which ironically, by the way, we had that idea over at 9 Volt. We never could figure out how to do it. So it's it's one of those things where we're like, oh, that's a great idea, but we never did it. But flip books used to be kind of common. And that's the way this one's set up. So you get 2 front covers. And by the way, it's really 4 because you can get some of the alternate covers. Like I said, Russ Leach has got one of the covers.
Stop. Scroll back up. Zoom in. Look at that. I think this is the first time he's seen it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at the speed lines. You see how the sound effects part of the
yeah. No, that's just a fucking amazing image.
Who drew that?
Jake,
that's your stuff?
That's Jake.
Yeah, it's me.
Holy
dope,
shit,
right?
Dude,
you should see the special sneak previews that he gives us of Tired Ted's adventure in this book. I am so thrilled.
In trouble in that
seeing where you went from where it debuted in the 9 Volt to where it is now. It's just mind blowing. It's so good. You have accelerated as an artist. It's fantastic.
Let me just say that what I draw depends on what type of acceleration that I do that type of period. So I can enter one period and I can be terrible at drawing, and then I can enter one where I can be woo, ecstatic.
That looks fucking incredible though, dude. You should be super happy with that. I am super excited for this.
I'm sorry. I gotta throw back real quick. Hockey said he had New York pizza and he preferred his local. No, Hockey, you had pizza in New York. You did not have New York pizza. I will take you to New York and we will go have New York pizza.
Maybe he means New York Pizza Kitchen.
He had Sbarro in Times Square. It doesn't count.
Yes, my favorite local pizza place, Sbarro.
one thing to point out with this, what make this crowdfunder very special is that it's one print, one time only. It's an exclusive print. So if you want to back now, you have to back now within the next 40 days. Because when this is closing down, it's never going to be reprinted. I have
Are you
heard
guys extending?
No, I haven't heard of any extensions.
I haven't heard anything about that. Yeah.
So that's it, one and done.
I respect that.
One thing that Randy will do is that he will print up like a limited amount of copies, and then he'll be distributing in either New York or somewhere around the East Coast through LCSs. So for people that want to like find a physical copy that are in the US, they do have the chance. But if you want to get in on this right now, I would suggest that if you're living overseas like I am, get at least a PDF version. That is the cheapest alternative, but also the most affordable one. So you don't have to get into all that whole shipping costs and everything. Because I know that my band Sideburns, you're suffering hard because of the Australian dollar shipping bullshit, and for Lucifer Storm too, who's in the Great Britain.
Yeah, shipping could actually be a real issue. It's funny because Varian has a comics shipping company, so
yep.
Yeah.
That helps, right?
Yeah, it definitely helps to know the ins and outs of things. One of the cool things that we found out over on the 9-volt side is if you do it print on demand, and you have people, instead of ordering from you, the publisher, they order from the publishing company. If it's international, they could get it basically a local rate. So if we print out a 9-volt
like this,
like that. We can make an international edition, and a guy in Australia can buy it for $5, and $5 shipping, and a guy in Peru can get it, and it's still $5 shipping because
that would be very, very cool. Yeah.
Improved. Yeah. So
I like the way you guys are doing your stretch goals. I like the fact that it's number of backers, not necessarily dollar amount. I think that's a really neat way to do that. I wonder what an admixture of backers and dollar amounts would look like. Like if you could unlock multiple different tiers, or if that would get too confusing.
What I take away from that is that it's more like making it about the person, as in like it doesn't matter who the backer is, but like as long as it's backer in front rather than dollar signs, it makes more of like a community effort that people want to see that vision come forth, and that whole like dollar calculation, all that stuff. I think it's more of those that are interested in the profits, in the profit margins of things.
When the stretch goals cost money to print, that's like what we're looking at. Like if we wanted to do 3D printed miniatures for everybody, that costs a certain dollar amount, and we're not going to have that in the budget unless we hit a certain amount on the campaign. Right. That makes sense. But something like extra prints or posters or stuff like that, getting to 50 backers and unlocking that would be fantastic, which is why I'm like, I wonder if we could do both and make a mixture without it being too confusing.
I could suggest that showing up a budget or it's like a spreadsheet of like a cake diagram about the budget size of things, so that you
I would, but no one ever looks at them. Like no, I've heard direct feedback from people that they think those are stupid. But that's just them, I guess. Like honestly, the idea of breaking down how much of a percentage goes to what of like manufacturing, distribution, paying for the work. Like honestly, you don't even know if those are real.
The customer doesn't care,
right?
They just want their book.
That's what I'm saying. Like
they just want the product. But I haven't seen that much in like for Indiegogo at least. I've seen that more being like a figure thing in Kickstarter. More specifically in like technology based things.
Well, when I mean like you have a big piece of pie that says like this is for manufacturing, like you don't know if that's true. You don't have 70% of their budget goes to it or 30% of their budget. Who freaking knows? That's what they're saying.
There's been so many shenanigans that have gone on with crowdfunded books that didn't quite make it.
That's
it's hard to trust anybody. But with this, we know the book's already done. So it really is just a matter of getting the getting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing with the book. It's already finished. It's 200 pages. It's very affordable. You got some really interesting perks. I want to see more of the stretch goals get unlocked, so we got to push the book a little bit. It's not like the dollar amount is going to do a whole lot for
the more
you,
backers,
but
the more content you will add onto it. So you'll get extra
that's
stories
the thing.
onto that.
So even getting the digital version is going to push this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
yeah, because I mean, the digital
$5
tier in most cases is like $15, and it's not really going to get you that $3,000 goal.
Yeah, that's kind of cool because that's actually like crowdfunding.
Yeah,
it's a crowd benefit,
which is why I'm saying this is an interesting idea to do a mixture of dollar amounts and backer totals.
Yeah,
I think we're going to go
rather than just like a weird kind of analog for a digital store, right?
See, you guys, having you on my show is really self-serving because I just steal all your ideas. So, what makes a good comic book? Ooh, good question.
Oh, that's a.
I just asked. I figured
that
out
is a loaded question.
Today.
Yeah.
I got that one from talking to the rabbi this morning. I've never asked that before, so I'm gonna ask it to you guys. What makes a good comic book?
Jake, you want to go first?
Sure. What makes a good comic book? Just study. Study before you do anything. Take your time and study. I know that's more like an open, more of like an open-ended answer to everything.
Let me actually push you a little bit further. What should you study?
So, not necessarily study like anatomy and all that stuff, but study the craft. Study like on a high level, like academic papers, if you have access to them. Study at least the basics, Will Eisner and Scott McCloud and etc. But get engrossed with the craft on a more serious tone, rather than just listening to other creators repeating the same thing, because they know it intuitively, but they need also that faculty of what is worded, so that they understand like a deeper level to it. So there are like three tiers that I like divide in my learning process when it comes to comics. First one is that you do that by practice. The other one is by engrossing and engaging with the community. And the third one, which is more like hard taxing, is the literature, or writing specifically about the comic studies of things. So if you got these three levels at least covered for you, and you try to immerse yourself with that as you read other comics, you certainly get like this. You certainly start to like unlock things. I call them clicks in my head, because it's like small epiphanies that just like make sense when you can connect them. I'm very bad at explaining things, but when it comes to like that like stage division, I know that all that intuitively has been like backed up by what I've been reading, and I can just like pinpoint to that stuff. So I've been like for the past shows just pointing out different like books that Frequency Girl have been commenting about, like talking to me back and forth with. And those books have been helping me into understanding comics, both in structure, substance, and other ways that it's just not necessarily just the literacy, but also the visual vocabulary and the and like the modes, which is just called. Like the modes are the elements of the things like image plus text and plus sound for movies. And yeah, it could go on for like forever, just like trying to answer such a complicated question, I think.
What about you?
I'll pass it over to Peter.
Okay,
what do you think?
So the obvious answer is, and what everyone will say is just story, but there's much more to it than that. Because, what is the story? There's all kinds of comics that there are, in the world. And, there's not just superhero comics, horror comics. There are slice of life type comics. And obviously we could cover the gamut, right? We talk, there's all kinds of comics. But when we say story, you ever heard of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? This is
Absolutely. My dog's name is JoJo.
Awesome. All right. So that guy, the guy who wrote that and is the mangaka for that is Hirohiko Araki. I don't know if it's Araki Hirohiko. I'm not sure exactly what order it goes in. But he wrote a book called Manga in Theory and Practice. He breaks it down into 4 elements: character, and then he says story, then setting, then theme. And the way he says it, character is the most important overall. Like, you know, it's not even close. Character is more important than all the other elements, but they're all important. Yeah. It should be, you know, it should be something that engages the reader, that you feel good reading, that the reader feels good reading, that you know, leaves them wanting more. And as I said, there's all kinds of comics. I like action-oriented adventure, you know, comics, because that's you know, if it was a novel, that's the kind of novel I'd like to read. They don't necessarily have to be novels. I'd rather make you feel than make you think, right? You know, I like Johnny Quest cartoons. I like Space Ghost, right? I like stuff like that.
I think Peter Palmiotti just nailed it.
What do you say? Good words,
good words, and good pictures.
Exactly.
Harvey Pekar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes and no. That's he's right, but you know,
well, like Harvey Pekar said, comics.
Harvey
Pekar said comics are words and pictures. You can do anything with words and pictures, right? And that's exactly like what Peter Palmiotti's saying right there. Good words and good pictures. It's true. It seems like too simple, too pat of an answer, but it's not. It's you know, from what he's really getting at. You know, you don't have to have some grand overarching formula. It's not rocket science. And you look at the master comic makers, you know, Jack Kirby, Tezuka Osamu, you know, Astro Boy, stuff like that. These are not, you know, comics that are about, you know, deconstructing anything and destroying anything. That's the style now. Everything's got to be deconstructed, you know. Everything's got to be, you know, made into this kind of miserable thing, you know.
Yeah, but like deconstruction fails flat when you don't understand the thing you're deconstructing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, you're right.
So
I'd much rather see an homage. You know, Watchmen is a deconstruction of the Charlton heroes. But they did a thing. The Kayfabers did a thing on Rusty and the Big Guy today, and I haven't seen that video yet. But that's an homage to Gigantor and Astro Boy. You know, and I love Gigantor and Astro Boy. And you go, oh, I love Gigantor. I'm probably gonna like that comic. And I'm looking at the, you know, some of the pages. Like, this looks exciting. You know, I want to be part. It's the same reason people buy action figures. You know, that it's part of their mythology. People who say I don't like superheroes, they don't understand mythology. Mythology is where it all starts. And mythology is stories. The story of Hercules, the story of Jason and the Argonauts.
Teaching mythology in schools anymore, man.
And they don't do that. They don't do that anymore. The kids today, there's no future in the youth. That's right.
Those damn clouds up there.
No more future in the youth. No more beauty, no more truth.
It does not stop people from becoming autodidactic. So let's just put that to bed, all right?
No, yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Jake's a youth, so he can say that.
I feel a little bit of a degree of responsibility at this point because I'm getting older. You know, I consider myself an adult in age, if not in behavior, because let's face it, I'm not an adult in behavior. But I do feel like it's in a way kind of our responsibility at this point to take an active role in sort of shaping modern myths. If that's our interest, if as storytellers we want to tell good stories, we want to be involved in making comics, then it's on us to reinvigorate that modern mythos and teach kids how to appreciate good stories. It may be too late for some. That's fine. But
you know, I don't.
If it's a good enough story, you know, it's gonna spark something in you. Storytelling is universal.
I mean, ultimately, I think the kids are gonna be all right. I think the younger generation, you know, they've got a lot of good ideas, and they're not always the best at expressing them. And I think that the internet has exacerbated a bit people's ability to express things in a meaningful way. And I think that's our challenge as a society and humanity, that we got to get over the internet.
Frequency Girl and I were just saying that the other day. It's not a problem of sarcasm. It's a problem of sincerity.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't tell what's sarcastic, what's not. No, everything on the internet is sarcastic. You can't tell what's sincere and 100%. What's not.
But getting back to the idea of comics and what makes a good comic, I really love what Jake was saying about study. I think that a common thing about art is that you're as an artist, you consume something, and the things that you produce are a direct result of what you're consuming. So if you're only referencing certain comics, what you produce is going to be a lesser version of those comics. You have to reference all the things that you aspire to. So, look at some things from life. Even if you're drawing cartoons, look at what it is in real life and reduce it to your cartoon. Don't look at other cartoons to reduce something down. Go to the actual source, the real life. Same with comics. Read a variety of comics and then pick and choose the best and reduce to that. It's all about studying, finding good reference, and learning a vocabulary so you can understand which parts that you're picking. Yeah, and then make something good out of it.
But that's also why reference material like McCloud is
so important. I can't talk enough good things about that book because Absolutely. It gives you the armory you need, the vocabulary.
That's a good word for that. Too.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
An arsenal of terms that help you wade through comics, which is such a huge art form, and there's too many people that do amazing work in sequential art. You need to have a vocabulary.
See, when it comes to that whole with McCloud, I think it's a good entry point. Don't get me wrong. The issue I take, or the umbrage that I take personally with comics creators, is that they don't take the necessary steps to move above that level so that they can get more of that in a more theoretical realm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess that leads me into the
I'm a heavyweight when it comes to all this bullshit. So I can only do that so much, and then there's the limitations of wanting to being too formulaic or too understanding of the craft before it becomes too drab, so that you don't get as much happiness of it, because there's a naivety. You're probably seeing this flattening. There's a curve, and then there's flattening of understanding the typical knowledge, and then there's a height where you can't access that knowledge that you probably don't know of yet, because you're still struggling with the problem that is ahead of you. Right. And I think that for a lot of people, they enter up that one hump of that before the flattening of that understanding occurs, and then when reading McCloud, and then they start to having more problems. And the further you get up on that element of learning with the heuristics,
so there's actually, sorry to interrupt you. There's a Bruce Lee quote that I always love that this reminds me of. And he's talking about martial arts, but I think if you understand what he's saying and apply it to comics, it makes perfect sense, right? Any craft. He says that the student views a punch as just a punch. And obviously I'm paraphrasing here, but he says the student understands the punch as just a punch, nothing more. The person who has then begun their journey on becoming a master, the journeyman, understands that a punch is so much more than a punch. It's everything. It's about how you hold your body. It's how you move. It's how there's too much involved. And then finally, once you've mastered the martial arts, a punch is just a punch. Yeah. Right.
It expands from not understanding what a punch is to studying all of the different ranges and layers of what a punch is, to finally understanding that a punch is the culmination of all of those things. So then a punch is simple once again. You master.
Garrett summarized the whole Vagabond manga in just that.
So I guess that leads me into this question: what kind of comic books do you guys want to make in the future? I know we just covered what's a good comic, so you don't get to say good comics. All right. What kind of comics do you want to make? Do you want to do more anthology work? Do you want to do long form? Do you want to do series? What genre? Let me know. What do you guys want to make?
Well, I'm in a quest for 1,000 pages. There's that Todd McFarlane quote, you got to get through your first 1,000 crappy pages. So I have a spreadsheet. I'm on 327, and that's I feel like a pretty good chunk, right? I'm moving along. Once I don't know what's going to happen once I get to 1,000 pages. The next anthology that we're doing is a manga anthology. We're going to do it at manga size, black and white. We're going to go left to right. We're not going to go right to left. Jake wanted to go left to right, I believe.
No, I took both.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you were the one arguing for the left or right, and I was like,
no, I argued for both. That
Fair
availability could be for like either choosing right to left or left to right.
Well, you know what you could do is when you get to somebody who wants to go the other way, print it upside down. So then all you have to do is flip your book over and you read the other direction, right?
I'm afraid to mess with things like fonts and then composition and all that other stuff. I'm terrified of that.
You'll figure that out.
I've been taking, the Kubert School does online classes, right? So actually starting this year is kind of interesting for if anybody in the audience is interested and always wanting to go to the Kubert School. Starting this year, they're going to be fully virtual. You can go and actually enroll from home and be, as long as you got a working connection and they use Google Classroom, you can be going to the Kubert School. I can't afford it right now, so I'm not doing that. But they also do one-off classes. And the one-off class that is the one to take is called Narrative Art. And that's the one about setting up comic book layouts for page layouts. And it has all the tips and tricks like, don't stack from the left. Use different size figures and, it covers all kinds of different things in layouts. And I've actually taken this class. I've taken it 5 times. I started taking it when we first got the lockdown part of the pandemic. And then I just took it again with a different teacher. I took it with Tom Mandrake, who is a Swamp Thing guy. I took it with Jan Dursma, his wife, who does Star Wars. I took it with probably the best guy I took it with is Giovanni Valletta, which I'm not sure what he's done pro. He has done something. He actually was one of the guys doing that PS magazine that Will Eisner was doing for the Army. And I learned a ton from him and Tom Mandrake. And then I also took it from Sergio Cariello, who you may have heard of. He did Batman and a bunch of other comics. He's the guy who did the Action Bible. And you learn something new from every one of these people. It's almost like a little bit of a 6-week apprenticeship where you're turning your layout pages in and an artist looks at him and goes, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. This is dumb. Usually they're kinder than that. I like it when they get a little hardcore with you. So the kind of comics that I want to do are very simple comics. I like action comics. I like superheroes. I like robots. I like science fiction. I grew up in the 70s. So like my version of horror comics are the ones where like Frankenstein is a superhero. He shows up in town. Everybody hates him. But then there's a real bad guy and Frankenstein kicks his butt. I like stuff like that. Yeah, Frankenstein wrestles the werewolf, something like that.
Yeah.
That's my kind of comic, but that's probably generational. That's probably just from where that's my generation.
I think no matter who you are, you can appreciate it. But yeah, for you, I guess that's like specifically the horror genre.
Yeah, that's what it is. There's nobody getting stabbed. It's not like the Red Room with Ed Piskor stabbing people's eyes out. There's nothing like that. It's the werewolf. And he's wrestling El Santo, right? It's going to be like that. So Jake has different ideas. So I'll turn it over to Jake.
Could you repeat the question?
So what kind of comics do you want to make in the future?
Yeah. Do you want to make anthologies? Do you want to do manga? What genre do you want to play with? Do you want to do big books? Do you want to do series, standalones?
This is what I did, by the way. This is Frankenstein, Adam Frankenstein.
Oh, nice. Let's hold on a second. Let me get in there.
And that's a floppy. It's on newsprint. It's black and white newsprint. This is the kind of stuff that I see myself doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake. Take over.
It's all right, man. I think my aspirations go a little bit like
Frank thinks you're old.
Beyond. That got deep.
Probably
not me.
He said Peter knew Mary Shelley personally.
For me, it would be it's like I take what I can get, like creative wise. I'm not very picky, but as long as I could like drive home what I want to create, regardless of what type of format it ends up with, because we're living in a transitory stage right now when it comes to media.
Yeah,
and it kind of like fucks with people how they want to like consume stuff. I'm personally more of like a physical copy reader myself, but I understand that I have to work within the confines of the digital sphere and the age that we're just seem to be like not unshackling any day soon. But I want to like try to do anthologies and books and short books, strip books, whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as the work gets done in the end of the day for me. But I have like a whole lot more loftier goals that I want to achieve myself when it comes to comics more as an art form. And it will just like be have to be built upon like several decades before I can hit that. Sorry, I got heartburns. Just like the amount of stress right now that has been pulled down on me. Like my future self is like, oh man, you shouldn't have said that. For me, what comics that I want to create? As I summarized to Lucifer earlier, I want to create comics that are bleak and shitty and dramatic and sad, but I also want to create the wonderful things, the little things, the moments that don't really get too much appreciation or thought of. I've been delving into more like Iyashike research for the manga that I'm going to do with Meta the Atom. What?
Did you read Raid Like Hammers yet?
No, but I'm watching it. I'm watching an anime that is more like a prime example for that. It's called Non Biori.
Yeah, care package. That's that.
Yeah, you put it in the care package. So
Bro,
I
my
need
parents used to send me care packages at summer camp with comics, and it was the best thing ever. Please go ahead. I get yelled at by Sideburns for not letting you talk.
So I just want to like I want to show these things at not at like an equal balance, of course, but I want to show how weird comics can get, how out of this world it could be, in a sense. So that's why I've been like pulling myself like to read as much comics. The shelf is like half empty now, but you should have seen like the 14 tubs that I got in my bedroom, full of comics. I just read everything and try to engross it, and just try to reincorporate it into my own type of visual communication and language and all that shit, and try to like write comics that are accessible for everyone.
I think when you're trying to make comics in that kind of vein of tactile, I'm sorry, Ishike, is it right?
Yashike.
I think that's the exactly the place you need to go to if you want comics accessible to everyone, because
the moments in between.
Yeah, because I think
we're all connected to those.
I really like that answer, man.
Yeah.
I think that any story gets elevated when you put moments that anybody can react to. A character is sitting there getting soaked by the rain. Everybody on Earth can relate to the idea of being standing in the rain and getting soaked. Doesn't matter if this comic is actually taking place on another planet with robots. If a robot is standing there like, man, I'm wet, this sucks. Everybody that reads that can understand.
Hey, it sounds like my recent story for Indie Volt.
There's something to be said about.
So, like for Yashike, there's like two things that I picked up. It needs to have a decent balanced diet of comedy, but at the same time, the sentimental moments, and that there's there's an ephemeral element to memories that are long distant past us. but we can still like get like that catharsis of it.
Never mind, I take it back. Some people on Earth can't relate to the rain.
James
bit.
has no. Well, he lives in Australia. It doesn't rain there.
I always forget about Australia.
It goes up. Anything down.
They have sugar for dirt.
Right.
They have. What are some other facts about Australia? No rain.
Facts, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So,
Huntsman.
The liberal government.
Scorpions as pets. It's like here.
Right. They do. They keep scorpions as pets.
Yep.
Yeah, these are two smart guys we're talking to. They know what they want to do with comics, and they understand what comics are right now and where they're at.
No. Don't assume that I know everything, man. I know nothing.
I didn't say everything. I just said you were smart.
I know.
Fine, fucking take it back.
I know what I know. I'm a Neanderthal, man. Fuck.
The one thing about people who are like obsessed with like the art and the craft of things is sometimes we do get up our own ass. And at some point we do have to be reminded to like appreciate the fact that at the end of the day, comics are good pictures and good words.
Yeah, like Bruce Lee said. Like Bruce Lee and Peter Palmiotti said.
A punch is a punch.
I'm like Bruce Lee. I just like looking at the pretty pictures.
It's got to be more than the pictures. It's got to be everything.
Good words and good pictures.
More than the pictures. It's got to be everything.
All right, so where can we find you guys? We've included some of your social media in the description of the video, but do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Or anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, we do have the 9 Volt, don't we?
Yeah, actually.
Take a look at that.
So let me give you a link, and I'll see. I don't know if it'll post, but let me post it in here. It's a Linktree, linktr.ee/9volt comics, and I'll see if it'll work there. Well, maybe not. linktr.ee/9.
If you put it in the private chat, I can copy paste it.
I tried to get it in there, so you might be able to get it there. I'll put it in the private chat. But anyways, that's got a link to every one of the anthologies at cost. So like the last one that came out, Cosmic Unknown, it's at the printer. You can order it right now. It's 120 pages for $6.74.
Frank. Thank you, Frank.
There we go. That's the one. But it also has a link to the Discord. So if you're listening and you're going, I'm a dude who likes to comics, and I made up a character called Monkey Man. You to join our Discord, and we'll help you get published. We'll even if you don't want to get published in the anthology, we don't say everyone has to be in the anthology. If you don't want to be in the anthology, or if your story doesn't fit, we usually come up with a theme.
Pizza Force.
Right. We'll still show you. We'll still say, this is how you do it. This is how you put the PDF together. This is how you submit it. This is the size it's got to be. This is, how to get your stuff through validation. There's a validator on Lulu because it's all kind of, done automatically. And you can set your own price at that point. You can do it, order yourself 100 copies and, go out and peddle them on the street if you need to or whatever else. So we can show you how to make stuff. That John Celestri, I'm a huge fan of his.
Hello, sir. Good to see you on the channel.
Absolutely.
I don't remember if you've been on before, but you are always welcome here. We have your books over there on that table.
Great fan of John.
We were talking about you earlier. Yeah, good things, of course. I love Mega Moose.
Yes. So you can see all the anthologies there. You can also get an invite to the Discord. Come on, and we also have a critique corner channel. So you've got your layout and you want to get it critiqued, or you've got a perspective grid you think is a little bit off and you want somebody to draw a grid over it and see if it works out, or get other tips. Jake, in fact, does great tips. Like I had a page and he made a great suggestion. Like, this should be a back panel, just take the border off, things like those kinds of tips that another comic artist can give you. Right? If you don't know another comic artist, you can't get those kinds of tips. So we have a channel for that. We have a daily draw. We have other things you can do in the Discord that will help you advance your career in comics. We have writers. We have editors. Right? We don't have just the artists. It's not just about the artists. It's writers, there's editors. And then we organize the anthologies there as well.
And we've got plenty of resources too for every single occupation.
Oh yeah.
So
if you're posting YouTube videos,
if you're looking for like thirst of knowledge, come over to us and then we will share. We'll equally share that amongst everyone. I'm actually working on a resource list right now that will be probably dumped in July or something. But it's going to be like a master list for comics creation. So everyone has been chipping in like a suggestion for which book that got their comics education going. So I'm going to put that in and share it around.
That's great. So let's take a look at the campaign one more time before we head off.
This is where we were when I loaded the page.
Yeah, 1720. Yep, with 44 backers. And where are we now?
Refresh.
Hey, all right. We did a little bit of work.
47 backers.
3 people and $110.
Hell yeah.
Right. Thanks, everybody out there in TV land.
Thanks. I can't appreciate it. It makes me motivated to do this one more time in August. The next anthology is going to be dropping around that point. I've heard through the grapevines. So I'm going to be still committing to contributing that if this one is landing. So
you keep making comics. We'll keep having you on the show, man.
Hell yeah.
We love it. We love talking to you guys.
Yeah, this is really great.
Is there any other advice? So last question, I promise, before we go. Any advice you would give to comic book creators who are just starting out, other than, of course, joining the AAA Discord and going to hang out on Indie Volt? Because that seems like the kind of consensus where all the knowledge is. Just go on AAA and hang out on the Indie Volt channel. What would you personally suggest, as some advice?
My advice is just get started. Just do a one-pager to start with. You may not have the hand muscles your first day of making comics to make a whole comic. That's okay. Do a one-page comic. And we can show you different formats for that, the mini comic format. Maybe just want to do one page, like, one-page standard. Work your way up to the ash can. It's 4 pages or 8 pages. From there, you should be able to build up to start developing stories, and maybe you meet a writer or an editor that can help you develop your ideas. Maybe you are a writer or an editor and you meet an artist who can help you develop your ideas. Either way, don't be afraid to collaborate. Just get started.
Good advice. Yeah.
Solid. Yeah. Jake?
No, he stole my. But let me.
Oh, I think your microphone cut out. I think
we can't hear you. Nope.
Looking like pro wrestling.
Yeah, right.
His advice for comics is get a sweet pair of pink goggles and cut some sweet promos.
That's fair.
I mean,
yes, there's also the mini comics exchange. Good point, Frank. Jake, say something. Yeah, I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. No!
Whatever you just did. No, all of a sudden when you moved it like
there's got to be a short in your wire or something, bro. This is fantastic. It's a comedy error. I love it. Yes, wait. Stop moving. Say something.
Hello?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Now? Okay.
That spot right there.
Don't move.
Okay. Start. Fucking start.
Start. Gotcha.
That's the mantra.
Right.
Fucking start.
Fucking start. Yeah.
You're not old. You're not young. Just do it. Start. It's that simple. Start and study.
He just figured it out. He's a plant from Nike.
Just
so you got the shirt.
Yeah.
You're saying just do it.
Wait, Peter.
Oh, no, you
I found him.
You made Jake leave. That's sad.
No,
Peter,
I'm not a shill. God damn it. I'm not a shill. I'm not a shill.
Oh, I'm kidding.
I'm going to get back to
I'm not a
you
shill.
about
I'm not
this.
a shill.
I'm going to get back to you about this, Peter, because I got to know more about an Abe Sapien Lucifer Storm anthology, a Wildcat anthology.
With story by Peter Palmiotti?
Is this Wildcats or, I'll ask you in DMs or something. We'll talk a little bit more later, but we got to wrap this show up.
Sorry.
I appreciate you guys coming on today. Really looking forward to the book. We had a great conversation. So all of you out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications.
And tune into the frequency.
We will see you next time.